The vibrant culture clash of the poor Los Angeles neighborhood where Beck grew up seems to have inspired a love of collage, of mixing and contrasting unlikely combinations.
I grew up near MacArthur Park, which is right next to downtown, and I guess it's kind of the old LA of the 30s and 40s, but you know, by the time I was born, it was a little more dilapidated, and a lot of stuff was getting torn down. And it was mostly immigrant neighborhood, especially at that time, you know, Salvadorian, Guatemalan, Mexican, there's some Korean, and it just kind of a mix of everything.
Beck's wildly creative bohemian family is also a wellspring for his music. Beck's mother appeared in an Andy Warhol film as a teenager and was later a fixture on the Los Angeles art scene. Beck's father is a very successful string arranger, but it's his grandfather, Al Hansen, who may have had the greatest influence. In the 1960s, Hansen was a founding member of the legendary art group Fluxus and created collages and sculptures out of discarded objects: Hershey bar wrappers, plastic lighters, matchsticks, and cigarette butts.
He did collage work, he painted. Into the 60s, he kind of got into performance art. These art actions that would just happen once, and they were these ephemeral moments that would just be gone, you know, once they were performed. I think just whatever you grew up around definitely colors how you see the world, you know. I mean, I think it's even more extensive than an influence.
In the early 90s, Beck set those performance art impulses to work as he crashed into the LA music scene.
There was sort of a legend going around town of this mysterious performer who would show up, you know, while other bands were setting up or tearing down their gigs, and would just jump on stage and start playing these amazing songs on acoustic guitar, sort of doing acoustic punk rock songs. And then there were legends of all sorts of stunts, like him getting on stage with a leaf blower or setting up a walkie-talkie in front of the mic and then going into the bathroom and doing his show from the bathroom.
I started writing these raps where I would stomp my foot. You know, it was kind of a shouting blues thing. Someone after the show mentioned that they liked my rap, and I said, yeah, I mean, if you can call it that.
I absolutely thought it was one of the most extraordinary things I had seen in years, just the combination of styles. You know, the music was very melodic and musical, but at the same time it had the energy of just a very raw punk rock band.
Plenty of critically acclaimed artists, at least, have as many influences and as wide a range of influences as Beck does, but they don't reveal them all. They're not able to mine all of their influences as well as Beck. There are few artists who can reveal a love for the Carter family and, you know, sort of Brazilian music from the 60s and hip-hop and punk rock and the Beatles, and take all these things and put them together so that you can find those things in the songs. Something always takes the place of missing pieces. But that's the essential nature of collage, is picking up something that belonged to someone else and making it into something entirely new.
Once, a great night's sleep was easy to catch.
Come on! Yeah, we're gonna blow it up!
Because we're on Nightline, I have to ask the hard-hitting questions. I need to really drill down. I need to get some facts on this. Where did you learn to dance?
So I didn't learn. It was really on-the-job training, so to speak.
Let's get this together, Jim.
Just being on stage and trying to figure out, you know, what to do with myself. So I think I probably picked up some things, not totally consciously.
Oh, yeah!
A lot of my moves are kind of faux. They're not, you know, it's definitely not Usher. And then it's, you know, just growing up with Prince videos.
Seeing what a natural performer Beck is on stage, it's easy to forget how idiosyncratic and personal his writing and recording process really is. Whether he's playing every musical instrument on a track or assembling a collage out of found sound, Beck, the recording artist, is really kind of a one-man show. We asked Beck and producer John King to give us an inside glimpse at the process of putting together the new song, Earthquake Weather. This song contrasts a lilting acoustic guitar riff with lyrics full of dread.
It started out with drum machine, one of these sort of cheap 60s drum machines. And then I had a nylon string guitar doing kind of a Brazilian thing. And then from there it just grew.
Well, can you break it down to its component parts for us? So this is kind of like a lounge act in the 60s would have this like on top of the electric organ in the Holiday Inn?
Probably the Holiday Inn, yeah.
I think it might be too uncool for the Holiday Inn, actually.
Red roof.
Yeah.
So let's hear the guitar riff. There's a lot of Brazilian influence in your guitar playing.
Yeah, it's definitely a component of my guitar playing. There's a lot of attack and playing with the hands that I like about the sound of it.
And then Beck and John King pull from deep inside the recorded tracks a woozy-sounding sample from the great 70s-era funk band, Slave.
And I'm playing it off the turntable, so it makes the sound warp, because you're playing it with your fingers to kind of get it to sync up with the track. The Slave sample just, to me, sounded like a sort of weird parade going in the background off to the side of the song. It's not even the same, I don't even think it's in the same key. It's harmonically completely off and messing up what the song was doing. But that's kind of what's great about it.
It's like full of soul and a little bit of another time, and usually there's kind of a warmth to it, and there's a lot of things that it adds. I mean, its samples are really special.
Beck also puts a remarkable amount of creative energy into the visual aspects of his output. You make amazing videos and do almost sort of experimental packaging with your albums. Do you see yourself as a pop artist as well as just a musician?
The visual is definitely something that's really important, that I just think of it as an extension from the music. When I first started making records, I just thought it was such an opportunity to bring maybe something art-minded or, you know, something in film that interested me.
For the first video for Wero, Beck has chosen to work with the extraordinary British animation team, Shinola. To achieve the look of the piece, sort of a Mexican Day of the Dead inside an old Atari video game, the team turns Beck into a human puppet who resurrects himself and his sidekick dog for a series of mind-bending adventures.
How was it?
The day in the life of a puppet.
Beck is clearly nobody's puppet, but there is still an impression that lingers on from his loser days, a notion that Beck is less an original than he is a facile and appealing recycler. While his more recent work has dispelled a lot of this, there remains for some the question, what's really at the center of his musical collage? Do you feel like he's original?
Definitely, yeah. You know, I'll answer the question with a question. Can you name any other artist currently on the radio who sounds anything like him? or who's done anything that he's done nearly as well as he's done it or nearly as authentically.
We'll shake around our bodies to keep it warm tonight. My tambourine is still shaking.
Beck may still be finding his way through the pop marketplace, but artistically, his course is true. While the music industry chases every new fad, Beck shows us just how far a musician can get by following his own compass. I'm John Flansburgh for Nightline in New York.